Shit, what's this podcast called?
Discourse of Human Events.
The discourse is just crazy.
Everything's okay, I'm just trying to act my age. Yeah, I wanna know where the hell the days go. Yeah, I wanna know where the hell the days go. I wanna look and feel years younger, baby.
Alright, ready. 1, 2, 3.
Flashlight! Alright, everyone. Well, today we have special guest Rory on from Two Drunk Guys Watch, the YouTube channel. 2DGW on YouTube if you want to Google that or put that in the YouTubes. And we'll also have a link in the description. Say hi, Rory.
Hey, everybody.
And, of course, we still have Nick and Chloe.
All 8 of you listeners.
That's a lot.
By the way, they're mostly probably the NSA or the FBI. we think.
I think
Really?
that's mostly who listens.
No, we've had some podcasts where we're like, oh shit, if the FBI listens to this, they might visit us.
Somebody might knock on the door right
Or they
now.
at least listen. But I
Yeah.
do want to start this off with an announcement, everybody. So, Nick, last time we spoke, we actually thought Trump was about to win the election. But here it turns out, after all this time, I actually won the election. I won it. Just all you got to do is count the legal votes. I won the election. I won it.
What?
No, you'd have to have at least one legal vote
I won
for
it.
you.
Did you vote for yourself?
If you voted for
No, I
yourself,
should've.
then you can
That'd
discount
actually
all
be
the other
funnier.
ones.
Right in
I'm
myself
still
as a
pulling
candidate.
for Kanye. I think they should invalidate all of them except the ones for Kanye.
So all 20 of those?
The whole
Yeah.
20.
No, I was gonna say I did not think he was gonna win. I said at the end, hey, there's still a chance. Because I watched the odds, and 20% isn't zero. And by the way, Trump still has about a 15 to 20% chance
He still has it?
on the betting markets.
Provide they still have a chance for him to
Did
win.
you listen to the Giuliani?
You'd have to be a
thing?
moron to bet
I
on that.
think- No, I think there's not a bad chance that he will at least overturn a few states
I don't see
I don't
how.
think he's
based
going
on
to
the
turn
case.
enough to win.
Watch the Giuliani's, don't listen to any media. Watch Giuliani's actual thing.
The dude that leaks oil
And
from
just
his
think
brain?
about...
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's
except
watching
he
the
has
media.
zero
Does that have any
credibility
fucking
at this
thing
point.
to do with
so
the
there's
court cases? It does not matter. Nothing about Fox News, OAN, or CNN, MSNBC. None of that fucking shit
Nick,
matters.
you know I don't watch any of those.
All that matters is the court.
yeah, and the
So
court
watch the court.
and the courts are denying
Read lawyer blogs.
every single thing that he tries to do.
Yeah, I don't give a flying fuck. This is all shit from CNN.
Yeah, I've
I've
watched...
read lawyer blogs.
Uh-huh.
Read
Lawyer
professors.
blogs?
So which
What
so
kind of
which
time do you think I have on my
I
hands?
read Naked Capitalism. They link to lawyer blogs
So-
where lawyers are like. Okay,
so which
here's,
cases
what
which cases
they're
have
kind of saying.
which cases have they won?
They won. It ultimately won't matter because they're just going to go to the Supreme Court because they'll appeal all of them.
Well, they can't do that. They can't do that unless they have a case. The
Yeah.
case has to be.
No. You can appeal anything, pretty much.
You can, but it takes time. And by the time they try to do that,
Yeah.
the
Actually,
election will be
so,
certified and
there
it
was,
won't matter.
No, so there was. I'm saying he has a 20%.
He has a 0% chance.
He's gonna win.
Zero.
He has
If
a
it could be
20%.
below zero,
Just
it would be.
No. Again,
Negative 20.
we went to bed. Zach saying, "Oh, Trump won," and I said, "No." The betting markets have a 20%. That means it's not guaranteed that Trump will win. And guess what? It looks like he's now has an 80%. Follow the betting markets. Don't listen to the media bullshit.
80% chance of what?
The media is just totally full of shit. Of winning.
No.
Of overturning
Well,
that many
0%
states
chance.
and getting that many electoral...
No. I don't think he's going to, win the states. See, again,
What do you
this
think
is
he's
the
going
media
to do
bullshit.
then?
I think he's going to invalidate the election.
Like, what are the lawyer
He
blogs
can't.
saying that you think he's going to somehow win?
No. He's not going to win, outright the states. See, this is again where no one has any real information here of what they're really.
What are
trying.
they trying to do then?
So all they have to do is invalidate the election at all.
They can't.
So if it, well, yeah, Supreme Court can actually officially rule that the elections in
And that's
states
what
are
he's
not
trying
valid.
to do.
And they did stack the court with a fifth.
Do you have any idea
conservative
what would happen if
judge,
they did that?
right?
And the people would go
If they-
absolutely fucking nuts if they
They
tried to do that.
definitely would.
Yeah, I'm not saying they won't.
There's
They
no
might.
chance they
It
would
might
do that.
be a
There's no
fucking
chance.
catastrophe.
Zero chance.
No, there is a 20%.
No, there
chance
isn't. That
because they
number
said
means
that
nothing.
now.
There's no chance.
Do you think that's a real
Okay.
percent? 20%?
That's exactly what Zach said late at night when Biden had a 20% chance to win. He was like, "No, it's over. Probability doesn't matter. Everything has probability." I'm saying it's unlikely that he'll win, but I would say there's a 20% chance. Roll a dice, a D&D 1 die 10, 2 out of 10 times he's gonna win. That's where it's at now.
You need to reduce your fractions,
don't be
sir. That's
shocked.
1 out of 5.
Yeah, 2 out of 10 is 1 out of 5, Zach. It's called a reduced fraction, where you divide the 2, divide by 2. The 2 becomes a 1, the 10 becomes a 5. That's 1 out of 5.
That's what I just said.
That's math. Oh.
I just said you need to reduce your fractions. You are drunk.
But anyway, the point, so Zach, actually, we were looking at this late at night when I was saying, like, forget what we were, when it looked like it was a tie.
Yeah.
We were looking at, like, what
happens
rules
in a
are
tie.
when- not just a tie, not a tie when nobody wins, when no one gets to 270.
Uh-huh.
And I mistakenly thought, so it says that Congress votes on it,
Yeah.
right? And so I said, oh, well, then Biden will win. So if it's a tie, Biden wins.
Mhm.
Okay? But what I, like, again, if you read enough, you'll find out that that's not actually what happens. It's not exactly 100% Congress votes, the, not Congress, not Senate.
The House,
House
yeah.
of Representatives. Yeah. Each state gets one vote.
Wait, what?
Yeah, each state gets a vote, but it doesn't matter because that's not going to happen. So
What matters then is that the Republican states outnumber the Democrat
What do you mean
states.
each state gets one vote? Like,
So each state counts as one.
who determines the state's vote, though? The governor?
The representatives that represent that state.
So they all vote amongst
So
each
they're
other.
going to vote. Yeah, they're going to vote for.
well,
who their
they
state
each
is gonna
send
to
one
give their
person
electoral
or
votes to.
something.
No, that's eventually the Electoral College. But so ultimately, if he just makes it a contested election where, like, if he can stop the certification long enough, or if he can get the Supreme Court
Don't they have to accept it,
basically
though?
say
They have
you
to
can't
accept
send the
that?
electoral votes, then they have to accept it if they get it to certify. But if he can stop it, not win the election, if he can just declare it invalid, he doesn't have to win. He just has to prove that there was fraud or that there's enough probable evidence.
Right. Well, step one in proving the fraud will be to produce evidence, which he has been unable to do. No, there's no evidence. There's bullshit.
There are witnesses.
There's total
I
bullshit.
think
There's no
there's-
evidence.
So we don't know until there's a court
Well,
case.
we
Until
do
they
know.
actually bring
We
out
do
the
know
evidence.
because there
I
have been
seen
court
there's been
cases and they've been
evidence
thrown
of
out because
fraud,
of no
but
evidence.
of like 40 votes.
No,
Like, nothing
no,
of
That's the
mass.
thing. They're trying to get them thrown out of right away. What they're trying to get is eventually they get to the Supreme Court. So they actually want it to go as fast as possible. They're trying to get their court cases lost because the sooner they lose, the sooner they get to the appeal
Okay,
process.
well, they have
the sooner
12
the
days
appeal
until
happens, and
the
sooner
states
they go to the
certify,
higher
so there's no
court.
chance.
So
There's no
again,
chance.
read those blogs.
They're already
that actually
certified.
are
States
not-
are already certifying,
Don't-
dude.
Both sides are full of shit. Both sides are full of shit. I think you're obviously on the
There's
CNN
no chance.
MSNBC.
There's zero chance.
I'd say it sounds like there's a chance, but I don't think 20% is correct.
I think it's. Let me look at what the odds are exactly right now.
The odds don't mean anything. The odds are to get dumb people to put money. That's how bookmaking works.
Every 87 cents. So Trump has a 14%, 13 to 14.
See, it keeps going down.
If you put 87, yeah, it was at 20, so it did go down a bit. If you put 87 cents For every 87 cents you'll put $1. If you have 100% certainty, take your whole bank account, and put your money on Joe Biden on predictive.
All right, I'll take my $10 and I'll put it on Biden.
Do it. I'm saying I'm not willing to do that because I always trust the market.
You don't believe in an 87% chance of getting more money?
87%.
No. 87% and you get $1.
87%.
If you bet 14 cents on Trump, you get $1 back.
Yeah, but if you bet 87 cents on Joe Biden, you get how much back?
You get $1.
Yeah, so you win
If
17
you bet
cents.
14 cents on...
Right.
So you're saying
Yeah.
you don't want to take the bet that
No,
is
you win
87%
13
like they're saying it's about 87% likely, right?
No, because I think the 13% is real. I think there's a 13% chance if I put all my money on Biden, I will lose my money. I will lose every dime that I put in. That's why I'm not putting any money on it. And I'm not putting any money on Trump either, because I don't know.
You wouldn't take a bet that has an 87% chance of going your way? I'm not saying all your money, but...
No, because you have the payout. It's like a roulette.
Uh-huh.
You have a slightly less than 50% chance
Correct.
of winning.
Yeah.
So you get double your money.
Uh-huh.
Which is a bad bet because the expected value, to go back to mathematics...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because the payout isn't
negative.
worth the risk, is what you're saying.
Exactly. And that's it. I don't feel I know better than all the people placing money on the bets. I never do. I have...
There's always insider
just
info.
Try playing the stock market. See how often you're wrong. It's better to just put your money in a broad index and hope. Because you can never get that shit right. And I never get this shit right either.
Never time the market.
I tried. I played...
No.
I used to bet on these things when I was playing... back when Romney was running. Well, before that, I actually really, really thought Huckabee was going to run. It just seemed so certain. And it was like 80% on this.
He's the one that did the
It was like-
scream?
No, that
Was
no,
that that guy?
that's Howard Dean.
yeah.
Oh, I just remember him getting
Huckabee was
destroyed.
a conservative that was the really hardcore Christian, and I was like, oh shit, he's totally going to run. Like, I was so convinced, and so was everyone else. He was like at 80%. He kept hinting at runs, and like I think he would have clinched the nomination over Romney if he ran. Like,
But he didn't
But
run.
yeah, I lost like $500, and I was like so fucking certain on that. So no, don't discount it. That's why I told you that night with Trump and Biden.
I'm
when
not
he was
discounting
20%.
it.
I was like, don't count him out now. Don't.
But I'm definitely more on
these people,
Rory's
like,
side
when you have
with,
thousands
I
and
doubt it.
thousands and thousands of people. I know that's what you want to happen.
No, I'm saying I
but
still
people
doubt
confuse
it.
with what they want to happen with odds. Like, do you not have zero odds on the fact that even if there was no fraud, that there is an enormous amount of corruption, and that the conservatives in the Supreme Court will just vote for Trump just
They
because?
won't.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They won't.
I don't discount it
Why
being
not?
a
Why not?
option.
Because they're not like slavishly loyal to Trump. I mean, you may think they are, but if
I
you
think
look at
some
the
of them
if you
are.
hold on, if you look at the cases that they've actually decided, they have not always gone with them.
I only believe that mostly about the Chief Justice, John Roberts. I think he...
No, his appointees have also not gone with
Who's
him 100% of the time.
Whoa. Who's appointees?
And there's also no guarantee the case will get to him. Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. They have not gone with him on everything. No,
Yeah,
they
that's
haven't.
true. But very, very rarely.
Also, the case won't get to them. The case won't even get to the Supreme Court in time. It won't get there in time. There's no chance.
Oh, but that has nothing to do with what they'll decide. We'll see. I think it's got about apparently now a 14% chance.
I don't think it's a 0% chance, but I definitely don't think it's 14.
Rory's saying 0. If again, I implore you, if you're that certain, put every dime you have into the bet, and you'll make a lot of money. I'm not going to because I think probably the odds are right.
Now, let's say in this hellish world of 2020 that does happen. Is that the end? Is that the end, my friend?
Yeah. You also got to put the 2020
odds.
What's that?
Everything changes. I said, do you think that sparks a literal civil war, right? At that point,
Oh yeah.
No.
if Trump gets elected
so.
through courts,
Unfortunately, there's no bet for civil war. But no, I don't think so.
If the will of 70 million people is denied, they're going to be really pissed.
I do think that, like, if Donald Trump won on that night, okay, we would have had riots.
I think we would have had riots for a few days,
But
and then
if he-
people would calm down.
If he wins if he wins after this, the riots will be 10 times more than what they were before.
And longer,
Easily.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it will last the whole 4 years.
Yeah, that's probably true. I bet you.
Wait, it's already.
That's a
last
good
week.
point. I bet you it would
No,
if that
not
happened.
one.
Really?
I do think so. Yeah, I think it will be crazy. And then again, I will stick by my little prediction that if Biden wins, there won't be riots, but there will be more mass shootings.
Yeah,
There will be
More-
the mass shootings will increase.
more incidents
crazy
of.
white guys with guns
Yeah.
will start shooting random people.
Unfortunately, it's so sad that I completely agree with that statement, but
There's no good a conclusion.
No.
but that's where America is today.
that's the problem with how Trump acts in public office is he creates these situations where there is no good outcome.
Well, the only thing that has slowed down the mass shootings has been the coronavirus.
That's true.
Because they've gone down.
Yeah, I should think that's true.
Before coronavirus, we had those like every almost couple weeks.
Because you can't get that many people.
Yeah, they've been going on for a long time.
Oh, there was one today actually.
Was there?
Where?
Yeah, I just saw it not too long ago. Was it Wisconsin? Maybe.
Was it like politically
sure.
related, or is it just a random?
They don't know yet. Just Mayfair mall shooting. Yeah, Mayfair mall shooting 2 hours ago.
How many fucking people are in a mall right now?
Yeah, I
Shouldn't
know.
be too many.
Yeah, like you can't put up the
Milwaukee,
numbers right now.
I mean, I think that's why they've decreased, because where are you going to go to do a mass shooting?
Yeah, exactly. There's
But
no
it's not-
mass.
I don't think anyone died.
So is a mass missing then?
Oh, then just shitty aim.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mass missing. Like not shooting fish in a barrel.
Mass firing at nothing.
Media. You know what? I look in here for wounded and dead, and you know what they say?
What?
If you're not wounded, you're
The
dead.
thing is the amount of people in 2019 where 900 were wounded. That's how great
That's the
all
total
is
number for a
today.
whole year.
of last year.
Yeah.
Like it has nothing to do with like
Because
right
2020 is
now.
like barely.
Well, they probably don't compile those kind of stats until sometime into the following year, I would think.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Plus, I think the CDC does that stuff, and they're a little busy right now.
The point is, I want to know about that shooting today, and there is media that says that.
Mhm.
When I read
Well,
it, they didn't say it there. They just talked about 2019. What the fuck does that have to do with?
I guess
anything?
shag your ass to Wisconsin and ask somebody.
They don't say, oh, that's in the article for 2020.
Yeah.
This current
Yeah,
shooting.
what's the current
weird.
shooting number? I have to. No, I'm not gonna find it. I think it was like 8 wounded, no dead, which I feel like normal
Wow.
times that wouldn't have even been a story.
No.
But today it's like we haven't had one in a while, guys.
So it is kind of funny. Like we were talking about if it wasn't double digits, like it doesn't even make the news.
Mm-mm.
And then it became, well, now it has to be like 20 plus to make the news. And now it's 8 wounded
Now it's
makes
just
the
numbers
news.
game.
Times have changed in weird ways.
Yeah.
Indeed, they
We-
have.
Yeah. So Ohio got grounded. We have a curfew 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. now.
Same here.
Yeah, well, California, you guys have been grounded for a while.
Oh yeah, and our governor likes to dine in a French Laundry with 12 other.
Oh, yeah, I heard about
Although
that.
honestly, Chloe and I are such socially isolated people, we barely notice.
Like,
Same.
you guys notice like the roads has just been a little bit clearer.
Oh yeah, we were asking. So you know what's in Japan there are otakus? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, otakus.
Yeah. You know what that is, right?
No, what's an otaku?
I know what a taco is.
They're like they're like people that completely shut in, so they never go outside and they
Oh,
only order stuff.
okay, yeah, I've
You've
heard of
this
these now.
concept,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Those people.
They are only live in their
Yeah, I wonder if some point they turn on the TV like, holy shit, there's a pandemic going on.
Like, holy fuck.
I'll be damned. And then they just turn it off and like, meh.
That's had to happen to somebody,
and then they
right?
go, whack off to Japanese anime porn. You know, whatever.
No wonder my wife wasn't delayed.
There has to be somebody in the United States that, like, turned on the news recently, like, almost never watches TV, nothing, and did that. This one, like, what the fuck has been happening? There's got to be somebody.
Am I watching the History Channel?
Did you hear Chloe's joke?
No.
Those people in Japan, those otakus, only found out about it because their waifu pillows didn't come. So they were like, why is my waifu delayed?
Why does it take so long to get here? That's terrible.
Yeah.
All right, so, I mean, that does it for our political discussion, I think. Hopefully it does go Biden, because I feel like it going Trump will be very bad.
Let's make actual prediction. I already know Rory. What is your prediction for what will happen? Not like who will win, but what's...
Well, I want to hear...
I
would want to hear Rory's specific prediction. I think I get it too, but I want to hear the specifics. What will happen?
It seems like nothing.
I mean,
January 20th and beyond.
Well, I mean, the election will be certified by all the states in mid-December, and we'll have the Electoral College, and everything will proceed as normal, unlike the rest of 2020.
I just want to ask you one thing, Rory. Do you watch cable news?
Yes.
I have not watched cable news for...
Since I know.
Yeah, that's 10 years. Maybe 15. I have not watched cable news.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, I think both sides have their narratives, and you just...
Well, how would you know that if you don't watch cable news?
Because you hear people talk about the narratives, and then they tell you why they're dumb.
And who are these people?
So, let's see. Professors. Tyler Cohen, professor at George Mason. I always read him. Robin Hanson, another professor. I can roll through my blog roll.
And you know that these news channels have professors on them too, right?
Nassim Nicholas Taleb, that's a really good guy.
The Black Swan author?
Yeah, the Black Swan author. He made a shitload of money on the 2008 financial crisis. Robert Schiller, again, so there are a lot of economists, I gotta say. I usually go there.
I will say I do see the complete opposite of what Rory believes with people on Facebook that watch a lot of Fox News. And they are gung-ho, it's going to...
Exactly.
Which is scary. I really hate that.
It's just so bad.
That is such a thing.
But, what was I going to say?
Just don't go on Facebook.
I'm not saying that's impossible. They might all certify the election. That's a fairly high chance. My specific prediction is at least one state will be decertified, but Biden will still have enough electoral votes.
It won't even matter.
That's why I think he has the 87.
Well, yeah, one state won't do it, unless it was like California or something. There's not enough, yeah.
No. California's not even in the game.
But mathematically, it won't matter.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't he at like 290 electoral votes now?
Yeah, it would take multiple states to affect anything.
They haven't certified Georgia. He'll be at 306 after that. But I think they will disqualify one. I think they have a good shot, just because they're trying like Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia.
So what's this whole certification? Is that when they like the actual state says this is for sure our electoral votes are going to him?
Right. Yep.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Do
So
all
at
of
that
them have a
point-
different deadline for this, or is it the
Yes.
same deadline for
Yeah,
all of them?
determined by the state.
Yeah, the Electoral College would be the drop dead deadline. They have to do it before then.
So, yeah. But I feel like there are Republican-controlled states, a lot of them. A lot of judges appointed only by Republicans. I mean, odds are at least one of them will be favorable enough that they'll flip. Or they'll just disqualify the election, and he'll lose those votes. They'll either go to Trump, or they'll just be completely invalid. Either one.
Do you think, though, that
But
that
odds
won't...
are that he flips enough to win, that's super low. That's
wait.
why I think he gets to 14%.
But wait, do you think though that I think one state won't flip because that requires enough people to go with what he wants that they don't want to be the one state that does it.
No, see, that's it. It doesn't matter. It's ultimately going to come down to judges.
But they can't just say, "Oh, none of our votes count," right? Like, so they would have to invalidate. They would have to invalidate enough Biden votes to change it, which requires either a bunch of bullshit, which isn't going to happen, or they would have to just invalidate a bunch of votes for some reason, right? Like the signatures don't match, or there's some reason for it, right? Which is going to hit Trump voters and Biden voters about the same, you would think, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's going to change anything. I don't see how it can.
They're suing only in given counties.
Yeah, but they can't do that.
They're actually not suing the state.
That's not going to win anything. They're not going to. They can try, but they're not going to win that.
The court cases are in specific counties.
Because they're targeting only majority black counties, and that's a losing strategy. There's no way they're going to get that going. No way.
I mean, the judges don't go, well, you're only targeting majority black counties. That doesn't matter to a judge. The judge is, did you commit fraud? Did you not commit fraud?
There are civil rights laws. The Voting Rights Act does prevent some of what they're trying to do. So they're going to lose that.
How so?
Because you can't just throw out black votes. There's no way you can do that.
That's in the Voting Rights Act? You're not allowed to throw out black votes? You just can't do that?
Because
it would be targeting.
Even if they're...
It seemed pretty...
Well, I'm sure it's not worded that way, but...
If it was just like, you can't just go and pick up black people's votes and dump them in the trash. But if basically their allegation, let's say, I think their allegation in Pennsylvania specifically, is that no one was allowed to be, the Republicans weren't allowed to view them while they were counting.
So even if that was true, how do you invalidate the vote? Just because they didn't see them doesn't mean it wasn't a valid vote.
Oh no, I don't think they're going to invalidate the 600,000. Maybe they will. That's what they're trying to do.
There's no way.
But again, it comes down to, can they just say, invalidate the entire election? Pennsylvania's votes, electoral votes, should not be certified, and they should not get any votes whatsoever.
Just completely eliminate their electoral votes.
Because they violated the rules by not allowing Republicans close. A bipartisan committee is legally supposed to be in viewing distance of the vote count. So can they convince a judge?
They have to convince a judge of that.
Because that did not happen, that the Pennsylvania vote...
I think that case was already thrown out in Pennsylvania, though.
Again, they want to lose so they get to the Supreme Court.
They won't. It won't happen.
The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, or are you talking the Supreme Court?
No, the actual Supreme Court.
It has to go through multiple levels. It doesn't go through straight from that court case to the Supreme Court.
That's another, crazy, it all comes down to these really specific legal
They're
details,
doing some real
which
fuckery.
the media is never going to get deep down to. Is he's trying to lose these cases. They'll report that. They'll report that he's lost. But they don't report, it's a legal strategy because they have a time limit before they certify. So they want to lose so they get to the Supreme Court appeals. Right?
I guess I can see that.
So it's... But it's time-based. They're on a clock.
Do you think a riot would erupt? Let's say Pennsylvania overturns their votes or something and goes Trump. Do you think there will be riots in that specific state or worldwide to do that?
Will there be... Sorry, say it again?
If one state... your prediction comes true. One state does overturn or invalidate their votes, but Biden still wins.
Biden will win.
No, I'm saying, do you think there would still be riots due to that one thing? Because that shows that it's possible to do such a thing, right?
I don't think so. I don't know why anyone would... I think there are going to be riots even if Biden wins and no states are overturned. Right? Because cops aren't going to stop shooting black people.
That's a good point.
A lot of the
you got me there
during Obama's presidency, right?
Yeah.
Some of the famous ones.
I don't think there were riots on the scale of what we've seen recently until the Trump administration, though. The shootings happened, but I don't feel like it was as much of a focus until more recently.
No, they're definitely... BLM was around in 2016.
They were around, but there weren't the kinds of rioting we've seen.
Recently, they were properly funded.
When were the Fergusons? Was that
That was during Obama. That was during, I want to say 2014 or 2015.
That's what I thought. That was one of the...
That was a big one, but
Until today, that was, I thought, the worst riot I'd seen.
Yeah, but that wasn't like George Floyd. That was nothing like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, so until recently...
Not even
until
close.
in the last year, Ferguson was the worst riot I had seen in my lifetime that I recall. And that was during Obama.
Right.
They don't stop... Cops don't go... Well, a Democrat won. Let's stop shooting black guys. Like, that's not how it works.
they're still just as corrupt, and yeah. The system doesn't work.
What's that?
I don't think it was about the police that they rioted. They
Which one
were-
was Ferguson? God, I can't remember.
Well, no, Ferguson definitely was.
Yeah, Ferguson was.
Is that one?
That was where the unarmed black guy got shot in the middle of the street. Oh, Florida one?
She's thinking of the Florida one where it was...
Oh, George,
guy.
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Or maybe he was white. Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not saying that.
Trayvon Martin, yeah.
Sorry.
Which one?
The Ferguson one.
Uh-huh.
What's the cause of it?
It was a cop. I gotta remember the details. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
God, yeah.
Yeah, it was
It
basically
was
this.
a cop that shot a black,
The black guy,
ultimately,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or was it? Do you remember differently, Chloe? I'm sorry, I really don't remember.
Yeah, he was shot in the back.
But I thought
It was big because of riots.
Because of
It was
the
2014, by the way.
forced out of-
Michael Brown.
Ah, I was
It
right.
Michael Brown.
Yeah, in New York.
I was right.
And then they
Yeah.
moved
I win.
to- What?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I thought it was a community, a black community historically,
Mhm.
was forced out of New York, and then they moved to Ferguson.
Oh, I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the...
That contributed
that
to
might- I
this
don't
happening.
think that's probably part of
Historically-
the media where they did go into the details. It was...
Michael
there was a fight
Brown.
between a cop and a black dude,
Yeah.
and the cop shot the black guy.
That was a very
And then you...
simple way of looking
And
at
what's
it.
your bias? Side with one of them.
Are you talking to me?
Because they're...
What?
No. I'm saying for the most of the... This is again where I think the media is just trying to hype up views and shit. Because I look at that and go, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know who the fuck... What happened. All we know is there was an altercation. Maybe the cop lied. I don't know. But a guy was shot. And then
Yeah.
it's, who do you believe? It's he said, she said, but he said he's dead, so he can't talk.
But wait, Nick.
Oh, that's right.
Let me ask
Yeah.
you a question.
I don't know.
If you're pulled over by a police officer, and you
Oh, I'm a straight, like,
We-
clear-cut,
we-
white-looking guy.
yeah.
They'll be like, sorry,
let me
sir.
finish my question. If you're pulled over by a
Yeah.
police officer and you end up having to go to trial, would you prefer that your skin be white or black? All other things being the same.
Oh, definitely
See,
white.
so-
I'm not saying
yeah,
that.
that's what I'm saying.
I'm
It-
not saying that at all.
Even if the Michael
I
Brown
guarantee you
case, you
there
don't
is
know what
racism
happened,
in-
it's clear there's an issue.
all throughout this society.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I guarantee you that's true.
Yeah.
I would never say, like, that's not true. That's absolutely true.
That's the problem. Is it doesn't matter if you nitpick ones where like I don't know what happened in this protest or this specific shooting. It's obvious that it's going on, right? Like
Yeah.
we all know this is clearly
oh, yeah,
a thing.
I'm sure it is.
Even judges, even when it gets to judges, there's still
Yeah.
you're
And,
just more likely to get a
one's-
worse sentence.
No one's completely clean in this. There are a lot of super corrupt judges. There's like that Cash for Kids shit, and
What is the Cash for Kids? Oh, where they pay to get people incarcerated.
yeah, the for-profit prisons.
Yeah.
And I mean, if judges can get elected that are that fucking corrupt, of course there are just outright racist judges.
Yeah.
There's so many, like, you'll read the cases of just horrid judges. They're patent law. I know, like, they specifically, like, patent attorneys will litigate every case.
What's
in
a patent
specific
attorney? What are you
county
talking about?
in Texas.
What's a patent attorney?
So if you violate a tech patent, like
Oh,
you,
patent.
implement
Patent.
patent, yeah.
I thought you were
Sorry.
saying like general patent. I was confused. I was like, what the fuck's a patent
If
attorney?
you violate general patent, that American.
I was so confused. I was
You will
like,
stand in front of a flag and deliver a speech that will intimidate you.
yeah, I was
No.
I was lost
If you
in this
violate
one.
a patent to enunciate,
Mm-hmm.
there is a specific county in Texas where patent attorneys will try to sue you because they know there is a judge there that always rules in their favor.
Ah.
That's where, like, just think of the legal shenanigans. That's where, again, go back to the Trump case. There are so many legal shenanigans that can go on. Don't discount anything.
Can't you just yell, "This is a kangaroo court," and win?
Kangaroo court. Oh, yeah. Oh, speaking of which, I showed Chloe that movie, The People versus Larry Flint.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
I know. I forget how amazing that
a good
was
one.
and how great he is. Just throwing oranges at the judge. Well, he wore a T-shirt to the court saying "fuck this court." The crazy shit is this really happened. This was a real man that did all this stuff.
That's funny because I just showed Nicole The Big Lebowski. She had never seen that.
Oh yeah. I
That was a
converted
good
Chloe
one.
to a big Lebowski fan.
Yep. The classics. Gotta show the classics.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of movies, Zach, do you want to talk about your experience on my
Yeah.
show?
So, did you?
I started watching.
I was about to
that.
say, Nick, did you watch it yet?
I started watching it. It was funny, but like the one thing you talked over the dialogue. I don't know if it even
Bro, it
made
did
sense
not matter.
anyways. Yeah, I couldn't tell what was going on. The guy went and punched some guy for no reason. I was like, why?
Yeah,
what's going on?
that opener
I have
really
no idea what's
confused
happening
me.
here.
Do you still understand what
And,
happened with that, Rory? Because I don't know. The opening was just so random. He just literally walked upstairs,
So-
punched a guy, and walked down the stairs.
Yeah, so the concept of the movie, and again, we're talking about a movie that is not going to make a lot of sense even if you understand what's happening, but
I tried.
so the theme of the movie is that robots are taking control of everything. And so I think what was supposed to be happening in that scene was that guy was given an order by some kind of robotic intelligence to go punch that guy.
Oh,
And
so
so
he
he
just
did.
followed it.
And then he acted like, in that scene after that where he's talking to his supervisor, whoever the hell that guy was, he's trying to explain himself. And then they're like, oh, we're shipping you off to some colony somewhere because we don't like you. And that's kind of what spurs the rest of the story. And there's elements of that in the movie and in other places. There's parts of it where they're like taking commands from the ship's computer and shit like that. But again, it's an idea that's not elucidated very well in the movie. So if you're not really paying attention to it, and I certainly don't fault anybody for not being able to because it's poorly executed, but I think that's what they're trying to convey.
That actually puts a lot of that movie into perspective, just that alone. But it was a lot of fun doing. I definitely want to do another one. It's always fun doing
like
that.
15, 20 minutes. Some of it was funny. The only thing, like, in the beginning, their helmets,
Yeah.
I just,
They're-
like, if you just put a little slit in the top, it would be a cock, right? Am I wrong?
Yes, it would be. You know, I also had
That's all I couldn't stop thinking
one
about.
of the things I
don't know
couldn't
why.
stop thinking about with the helmets. It was actually hard to tell some of the actors apart because it like removed a lot of facial features. So it was just like a poor movie decision to take away all the hair and the ears and stuff because you couldn't like. It was harder to discern actors that sometimes we're asking, wait, is that the one guy? Or is that the one guy?
Well, they already were a little indistinguishable to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
They should put guy that punched random guy, like, as a message on their head, on their helmet.
This is that one
So
guy.
you can tell.
But if you added like hair to a face, it, like you can tell a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like it got rid of a lot of features of a person.
Yeah. The other thing to point out about that movie, which I find hilarious, is it was released the same year as Star Wars. So, A New Hope. So, the technology was there to make it a better movie, and they just punted on that.
How did we not get a franchise out of that?
The old Cosmos prequels.
No.
Yeah, it was interesting to learn that there were like there were spaghetti westerns. There's spaghetti like
Sci-fis,
Like,
yeah.
That never made it big. That was
Yeah.
shocking to me. Like I had no idea that existed.
That actually is pretty cool that there are spaghetti.
Yeah,
sci-fis.
and that movie was so that movie was made in a similar way to the spaghetti westerns. And I think I mentioned this, but I think it was later in the movie than probably what you saw, Nick. But I did point out that so in the spaghetti westerns, I don't know if you know this, but what they would do was they had actors from different nationalities together on the set, and they all spoke their own languages when they did their dialogue.
Oh, no, I heard that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that they also obviously did when you watch this movie. You watch their lips. It's not matching up sometimes. Yeah.
Doesn't
But-
even come close. Like,
But
okay.
there's a funny interview with Eli Wallach, who was in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and a couple other of those spaghetti westerns, and he talks about this process that they used. And basically, they each got a script in their own language, and when they went to do their scenes, they would say their lines in their own language, and the actors, the hard part for them was reacting to what the other person was saying when it was in Italian, and Eli Wallach didn't speak Italian, so he's like, I think the guy is saying this because my script says, okay, cool. So they had to also not just memorize their lines, but also memorize how they're supposed to react to stuff because they don't have any idea what these people are saying.
So they had to kind of know what the person was saying, because like basically had to memorize a script.
Yeah.
I don't know how these. It's amazing to me that these things come together.
Yeah.
Like, what crazy Italian goes, I'm gonna make a movie. All right, I'm gonna hire actors. No, they don't need to speak the same language. I'm gonna get them all in a room. Budget? No, we don't have any of that. But I'm gonna get them all in a room.
And then the funny
They
thing,
talk to each other. We'll
and-
dub it over in English. We'll sell it in America.
right?
And the craziest thing is, some of them work.
It worked.
Yeah.
Some spaghetti westerns are famous.
Yeah.
Well,
People love 'em.
the funny thing about something like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly is it does not have a ton of dialogue. Period.
Yeah, that's the way
There's
it
a lot
gets
of
away
staring
with it.
off into space and music, and so that's a little easier to deal with. But the funny thing about all those movies is that they had to dub the entire thing, because if you think about it, there's no version of the audio that would make sense to anybody. So they have to dub it in English, they have to dub it in Italian, they have to dub it in German, whatever. So there's like all these different versions out there because they have to have all these different dubs.
So wait,
But,
when they do the English dub,
Mhm.
does Clint Eastwood have to redo his lines over the original audio
Yes.
because the other
Yep.
audio has the nonsensical Italian? Okay.
Right, and so
Warrior.
then somebody will have to dub for the non-English speaking people. So they'll have to bring in an actor. Sometimes it's one of the existing actors, and he has to like do a voice so you don't think it's the same guy. But a lot of times they'll just bring in some Italian guy that speaks English or whatever to try to, because you'll notice on those guys, they still have an accent sometimes.
Yeah.
So like they're speaking English, but they have an accent. So it's like, okay, so that's probably a local Italian that just knows English, and they're like, okay, can you do these lines? Here's $5.
That's
Cool.
probably
So-
how they did it too. It was just funny. Like, hey, you speak English, right?
Yeah, they probably had Clint Eastwood and them do their lines like that same day. They probably put them in a booth and said, okay, because they just shot the scenes, right? So they'd remember. Because if you notice, they're pretty good about being pretty close to what they said. Like, I mean, if you
Yeah.
watch, so they probably recorded it the same day. Because if you think about it, okay, you shoot the movie, Clint Eastwood's off to go do another movie now. You can't get him to come back and do that ADR. So you're going to have him probably do it the same day or while they're still shooting the movie,
So what was the real reason they did this? Did it this way? Like, why spaghetti westerns? Why did this come about? Why not do them in the U.S.? Was it literally just budget? It was just cheaper.
Well, at the time that the spaghetti westerns, you're talking about the late 60s, early 70s. So at
Yeah.
that time in the U.S., westerns were not as popular anymore. They were losing popularity. But in Europe, they were becoming more popular because the American movies and TV shows were starting to come over there more. So they never had anything like westerns there, obviously because their culture's different, right? But the different kind of scenery and the different kind of themes, and they're totally different than stuff that exists in Western in European cultures. They're like, ooh, this is real exciting. So they just had kind of a cottage industry of all of these films, and most of them were shot in Spain just because the terrain in especially southern Spain was similar to what you might see in the American West. And so you'd have a lot of Spanish actors, and of course they were funded, a lot of them by Italian movie studios. So, but they would almost always bring in some English-speaking actor, somebody who would be familiar to audiences that had seen these other movies. So Clint Eastwood, obviously, Charles Bronson,
Bring in the talent.
Lee Van Cleef. Yeah, they'd bring in one guy, most likely one, that was an English-speaking American or British or something, and then the rest of them would all be these Italian, Spanish actors, for the most part. Good, the Bad, the Ugly had several English-speaking American actors in it, which was, I think, a bit unusual. If you look at the rest of them, that was a bit unusual.
That was a weird time for movies.
Yeah, and it's funny because us being Americans, we have a certain perspective on the history of movies, right? But it's different in different countries, and every country goes through phases of what is popular there,
Yeah.
And that's certainly an example of it.
I never see the popularity of spaghetti western.
Yeah, that's true. Well, but like you're saying, like Eastern Europeans or Europeans get the culture later from America. There was always a trope of in TV when they portrayed they would always portray people from the Soviet Union coming over here, and they'd always be 10 years behind.
Oh yeah.
So in the 90s, it'd be what's the Alf? I like Alf.
Oh.
Remember?
It'd be
Yeah.
all off.
Yeah, I always
From the
remember that
80s,
growing up
yeah.
in the 80s. They'd always be 10 years behind when they came to America to show how behind they were. So like he's saying, there's always that cultural lag where it's popular here, and then it's popular there.
Yeah.
So I think it's something they got right.
Huh.
And the funny thing about some of that too is in France, for example, the older generation hates all this American stuff, but the younger generation loves that shit. And in fact, in the French language, the younger people started adapting English words for things, and the cultural elite and the caretakers of the old guard didn't like that stuff. But there were words for things that didn't exist in French that the young people started using the English word for,
Like what's an example?
like jeans, like blue jeans, right? They didn't have a word for that in French.
They're
They just
just
called them le
pants.
jeans.
Well, this has got to be old. They have jeans.
Well, sure now, but I'm just saying
Back
back
then.
in the
Yeah, back.
when it started, yeah. So I'm talking about late 80s when this started to happen. So, but yeah, the same thing with TV shows and movies. So those guys, and here's another thing to think about. When was the last time you heard of a French-speaking musical band or a German-speaking musical band becoming popular anywhere? Yet,
99 Luft Balloons.
well,
That's
right.
it.
What?
That's the one I know.
And yet you hear about all these English-speaking bands touring in all of these countries.
Yeah. It's
And that
true.
is so bizarre to me because you watch a concert, like some English-speaking band, and they show up like U2 or Depeche Mode or The Cure or somebody, shows up in France, everyone's singing along, and there's it's like the biggest thing ever. And I just find that so bizarre. Can you imagine being an American, you go to a concert, hear some French-speaking band singing in French, and everyone's like, yay, it's like that would be so weird to us.
It is really weird. That's because
Well,
we
there
have
is
the
Gangnam
global
Style,
culture.
That's about it.
But Europeans, on average, they speak 4
Yeah.
languages.
Well, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's the thing.
That's
I
very
think-
true,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
There is shocking how many people, when we went to Europe,
They just
always
be able
younger
to-
though, but they could speak English, a
Yeah.
lot of them. At least semi-passable, so you could ask questions and stuff like that. So that, I think that's a big part of it.
Oh, yeah, totally.
We're the
But-
lingua franca of today, which is funny because that stands for the French language.
Right. But the funny thing about that, though, is if you know a foreign language, one of the hardest things to do is listen to a song and try to understand what they're saying because the words are stretched out or they're weird and there's at least for me.
Back
Yeah.
to differ.
Hold on, let's hear Chloe because she
Yeah.
definitely speaks.
Yeah, right.
She's speaking in her second language now.
Right.
Let's see what you say, Chloe.
You learn the song first.
And
Because
then
you
you
like the
understand
tune.
what it is.
Then you go look for the lyrics.
Oh, you
But
have to read the
I do
lyrics.
agree. A
though.
lot of times,
Yeah.
I tell you, a lot of times we're listening to a song,
Uh-huh.
and then I tell you what it's actually about, and you're like, oh, the
Well-
Clash I was telling you about. I
Well,
forget
Clash
which
is
one.
fine, but there are some people that just could not articulate.
Yeah.
You
Oh, yeah.
listen to
sometimes
some mumble
I'll
rap.
go 20 years saying the wrong
Uh-huh.
thing when I'm singing a song and be like, oh, that's what.
Yeah,
it
that
is.
still happens
You
in
should
English.
you should throw some early REM at her. And see what she
REM.
does.
I was saying mumble rap.
Rings.
You'd have a real hard time listening to them,
Huh?
understanding anything
Yeah.
they say.
Well, just in general.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
I
just-
still like some mumble rappers, but some of them are just.
I don't listen to any rap, so I don't.
No, me neither.
I
I'm with you. I guess the closest I get is Linkin Park, and that's not really rap. So
He has a
Yeah,
rap.
I listen
There's
to
a
some
rapper
rappers,
in Linkin Park.
yeah, they
have
always have
rap
like a
in
little
it.
bit.
yeah,
In the
It's that new metal with
every
rap
song's the
and
same
rock.
though, so they always have a little rap.
Yeah.
right.
That way
Yeah.
to articulate the rap.
Oh, one thing I was gonna talk about for the translation thing before I forget. Do you remember the original Schwarzenegger movie? Like
Conan or the Hercules in New York.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
super old one. Yeah.
Yeah, he's completely dubbed in that one.
Yep,
Yeah.
I remember that.
yeah, but the funny fucking thing is he speaks English just so poorly they dubbed it.
Yeah, they dubbed it. Yep.
That was always one of the most funniest things to me.
They were gonna.
The guy speaks English and they're like, let's dub that shit. I have no
Yeah.
idea
No,
what that
no.
guy's
You
saying.
don't really speak it.
Yeah,
I
they-
just wonder if they told him. If they were like,
no, they didn't tell him.
Oh,
until
they
afterwards.
did
pretend his English
He
is
didn't
great.
find out until he went to the premiere. No, he didn't know.
Oh
I
my
didn't know
god.
that.
Wow,
That makes it
that's-
so much better to me.
There's a story you can find somewhere where somebody interviewed him about it, and he took his I guess girlfriend or whatever into the movie, and they're like, "Who is that talking? That's not you."
Oh man.
That's so hilarious.
Ouch.
And there's this actress who has a southern accent. What is her name? But she's an American actress. She has a southern accent, and she went to some movie premiere, and the same thing happened to her. They dubbed her with a no accent sort of voice, and she didn't know they were going to do
That
it.
hurts even more.
Right? Yeah.
You know what the craziest thing is?
What?
There are so many English actors. I mean, not as in speaking, like from England.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I learned later that they're English.
Oh, yeah,
because
that-
they do
like-
an American
yeah.
accent, and I could not ever tell you. But then you hear them in real life, and like, motherfucker, that guy's English. Like
Like the guy from
Charles
Lost?
Flanagan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Charlie?
which guy from Lost? I don't even know.
Charlie.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I do know
well,
him.
yeah.
From Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings?
You're
Yeah.
Who
Wait.
else was
You're
it?
saying Ian
In,
McShane.
Ian McShane, yeah, Ian McShane, and then the guy from The Wire, the cop.
Yeah.
That was basically
yeah.
the main character.
Main
I
cop.
had no clue he was like. I think he's Irish.
What was his
He also
name?
has a huge accent when you hear his like real talk
McNulty.
speak.
McNulty,
Yeah,
yeah.
McNulty. Like, and then I think Stringer Bell too. Like they
Bell's
sound.
English?
Yes, they sound.
Yeah,
super
Stringer
fucking
Bell is a
American.
weird
He
one.
sounds very
And,
American.
and it's like when I tried to watch the original Office, like years ago before you could download it with subtitles, and I couldn't understand a goddamn thing. Like I got sentences, right, but not enough to get what was going on.
But there's so many slangs.
And also
Yeah,
subtle
there's so many
jokes
slang and they
with the
speak
words.
that accent and all
Yeah.
sorts of things. Like it's different enough that you really have to pay super close attention, and you still only get like.
Nah, I need subtitles.
Well, it depends. If they're super upper class,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like upper class English, they speak with highly enunciated English, like standard English.
Yeah.
It's fairly close to standard American. But usually most shows are working class English, and they have
Yeah.
like an accent that I have super trouble understanding. Well, we were watching
Afterlife?
no, the one with Benedict Cumberbatch before he was
Cumberbatch.
too famous. Yeah, where he was on the ship. It was by PBS, I think, or BBC One.
Edge of the World?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he played like this super aristocratic guy on the ship. He was the guy that wasn't really in charge, but he was in charge because
But
he was
his
the
accent was so
aristocrat. He's the only one I could understand. I couldn't understand any of the other goddamn people. But like,
Yeah,
and then you hear these actors, and they sound like that. Like I have a hard time even understanding them. But then they play an American accent, and they are
Spot on.
unbelievably accurate.
Okay.
Because
I
they
feel
grew up
like
with
I'm
American
someone
television,
that should
right?
Play that Irish accent English.
You know what? Chloe pulls it off.
What?
What?
Rory, could you tell that she's not a native English speaker?
Oh yeah.
No, really?
No, I can.
Which part?
What gave it away?
What gave it away?
I mean, I'm pretty good with being able to tell accents and stuff. So I mean, there's just a bit of a an accent there. That's all.
You did not pass the Rory test.
No.
Gotcha.
But I can do accents, so for me, it's easier for me to pick up on that stuff than say probably the average person. I don't know, maybe. But another group,
An accent?
yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I don't do those kind of. I try not to do that kind of stuff. I'm not real good at it, but we'll just leave that
Try to
leave that
stay
where it is.
PC.
But European stuff, sure, I can handle that. So, but anyway, I also wanted to point out Australians have a cottage industry. I'm bringing that term in again. A cottage industry of these. They crank out these actors that can do American accents. There's so many
Yeah,
of them.
that's true.
So many of them.
That's true. Yeah.
It's a little
Is
hard
it-
to tell from the Australian accent to the English accent.
Australian did. Oh, like English as in England.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. It's some. Well,
It's fairly close.
you know what really gives it away? cunt.
Sure.
I'm sorry. But
You mean like
they
how it
don't watch
looks,
the
or?
comedians. They'll just say the Australians
Oh,
say
oh,
cunt
oh.
like it's nothing. Like, hey, cunt. Like,
I have some coworkers.
But other than that,
I
no.
confuse them.
yeah, a lot of
Thought
them.
they were coming
I know.
from.
You confuse
UK,
them?
and
They're
then
cunts,
they
or?
casually mentioned.
Yeah.
No.
Because this one
You
guy
cursed at
worked
work.
She took one look and is like, "Are you Australian or English?"
He always pronounced Spock. I always thought, like, no, that's the guy on Star Trek. We're working on Spark.
Is Christian
from
Bale
Australia.
Australian or is he English?
And I
He's
don't
English.
know
English, okay.
He's English.
That's another one. Like, I had to learn, like, oh, he's from England.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
He does really good American accent. But one of the ways you can tell the difference, if it's at all helpful with English versus Australian, is the AR kind of sound in words. So a British person will be like "aw" like that, and the Australian people are like "ar" like that. That's a big difference in their accent. Like when you have kind of
Into a word.
like
See, but
like-
it depends on which part of Australia. Like I said, this guy said Spark.
yeah,
This Australian guy I know said Spark.
yeah,
Like Spock.
right.
Spock.
Right, and then the British
Is that
person say
like
Spock. Spock. It would be a little different, but you're right. That particular word
So
was probably very
They
similar.
dropped the R.
Yeah, right. And the Australian is less likely to drop the R. I think that may be the difference. Yeah,
Can you give us an example, Rory, since you're good with accents of a different?
I've had way too much devoirs for that. No,
I want to hear like a British versus English.
like
accent.
like barbecue. Okay,
Okay.
so a word like barbecue is barbecue would be the Australian version, and barbecue would be the British version. So it's a little different.
Okay,
They
okay.
say Barbie.
Well, it depends. Yeah, and it also depends on England. I think has.
And that's just off the top of my head, but you're right.
Accent.
Yeah, they all have
Just like
regional.
we
Right,
have the southern accent. So
I'm doing more of the
like-
Princess Diana sort of accent, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't it weird though that
upper class?
England
upper
is so
class Twitter
small
of the year
but has so
accent.
many dialects, and
Yeah,
the U.S. is so large, but
Yeah.
we don't have that many.
it's hilarious. When
Wait.
I was in dining in London, we were talking about. I forget why the waiter asked.
Oh.
He asked something about Ohio. That's close to Pennsylvania, and I was like, "Yeah, Columbus. It's only 3 hours from Pittsburgh, so really close." And he's like, 3 hours? That's really close.
I'm sorry. That's still that
He was
close.
shocked.
That's
by
like
that.
London to Edinburgh. They're like, oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
3 hours.
It's like sometimes you don't realize
The
like,
perspective
how
is really different.
conceptually That thing
Now,
can be
now to be
really,
fair,
like, just
to be
really
fair with
different.
the accent thing, so England has had English for twice as long as we've been a country.
That's
so
true.
that may have something to do with it as well.
That's true. A lot more time to have different dialects.
You have time to develop.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever looked on YouTube? There's like, so they'll go and.
I have, yes.
Oh yes, you heard of the YouTube?
I
I've
visited
heard of
the
it.
YouTube once or twice in my
I
day.
thought it was a niche hipster thing, but you are on top of it. No. And they'll have like non-native speakers, or not like they don't know a word of English,
Uh-huh.
right?
Okay.
But they've seen English movies
okay.
dubbed, right?
Okay.
So then they go and ask them mock English, just like we would mock Chinese, and we'll go ching ching cha cha, like because
That sounds so bad.
It's little like
Oh,
choppy,
I know what
no,
you're
but
talking about.
I watched them do English, and it sounds like words, but they're
But
not.
it's not at all. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's shocking how close they can get. But the thing is, they watch more English movies than I've watched Chinese movies, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
So Americans
also
can't do
dialects,
fake
but
Chinese
okay.
very well.
No,
But
probably not.
foreigners can do fake English pretty well. Like, I sit there and I'm like, that sounds like they're saying stuff, but they're not saying stuff.
No, I've seen the
It's
video
just
you're
nonsense.
talking about where they do that,
Yeah.
where it's they're speaking that mock English, and like you have to like stop and listen. Like they're not actually saying any English words
Yeah.
at all.
It's very interesting. It's a little trippy. You should get high and watch them, and you will think they're talking to you.
Well, on my perspective, there are a couple of movies. Like, I'm thinking about the movie Timeless, where the guy took a pill and magically one day he learns Chinese. All right, that he's trying to show off to his girlfriend or whatever, going to a Chinese restaurant, ordering Chinese, and he said that. For the love of God, I was sitting in the theater. I was like, What the hell is this guy saying?
Oh, it's not really. He's not even close.
Oh, he's trying to speak
That's
Chinese.
not ruin it. We were trying to watch Firefly, and the thing is, I've tried to learn Chinese, so I actually know what the white guys are trying to say when they say they're Chinese, because you know they do like the fake like Chinese is kind of taken over half the world, so they have like lots of Chinese slang, and I actually know what they're trying to say, the words they're trying to say.
Really?
But Chloe looks at them like, what? That doesn't. I'm like, no. Here's what they're trying to say. Let me see if I can pronounce it.
That's
because they told the actors, they definitely told the actors what the real Chinese pronunciation was, and they butchered the fuck out of it. Yeah. But they butchered it in the same way that I would butcher it.
So you understand.
So I know what they're trying, and I'm able to understand like exactly what they're saying. Like they don't go she. They go she. I'm like, I know what they're just saying. Thank you. That's it. They're doing it terribly.
Yeah.
But I know what that's trying to be.
That reminds me of a terrible movie called The Wild World of Batwoman, which was from the '60s. Yeah, I should do it on
the title alone is
on my
great.
show. Yeah, they actually got sued by DC Comics because it has nothing to do with the Batwoman from like comics. Anyway, there's a point in the movie where Batwoman, who's like this kind of weird cult leader, and she calls this guy who's Chinese, and she literally into the phone goes ching chong ching chong ching, and this scene goes on for like 2 minutes, and it's so cringy. That's the only reason why I wouldn't want to show the movie, because it's so that scene is so awful. I'm like, ugh. Like if you sit there and watch it, you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe they didn't cut this scene, because it literally does nothing for the movie. It's just a stupid scene that does nothing for the plot.
They could literally remove it and it'd be fine.
Yeah, it's like, let's show off this lady being culturally insensitive. Cool. But it was the 60s, so they're like, whatever, so. The other thing that reminds me of what you're talking about with the fake English stuff. So there are these, on YouTube, there are these videos where these English speakers will take music or something, movies that are in a foreign language, and they will post subtitles that are what they think it sounds like in English. So, for example, like the one I've seen is a Bollywood movie, and so they're singing in I think it's Tamil is what they're singing in, and so obviously the English speaker has no idea what they're saying, so he just puts what he thinks it sounds like in English. So it'll say stuff like, I'd like to see you pee on us tonight, which is what it sounds like they're saying, right? If you listen to it, right? And it's hilarious. And so if you Google this thing called Benny Lava, which is one of the lines from it, you can find it. And actually, I did a Benny Lava commercial in one of my shows. So I actually put that video at the end of one of my episodes. I think it's episode 5. So if you ever want to see that video
hilarious.
Without having to look it up. But yeah, it's funny because it's like a 5-minute video, and it's a scene in some Bollywood movie, and they're singing and dancing, and it looks really interesting, at least with the colors, and they have all these routines they do and stuff. But the dialogue obviously would make no sense to us, so this guy just thought it'd be funny to put this, this is what I think it sounds like. And I had to think about whether it was culturally insensitive to in this day and age, but then I thought, well, not really. He's not making fun of them. Like, he doesn't know what they're saying, and so it's funny to us because this is what it sounds like to us.
Yeah.
So I think it's borderline culturally insensitive, but I think for the humor aspect, I think it's probably worth it. But I did have to think about it because I post these things on YouTube. I don't want someone coming in and be like, "You're a meanie," So, but number one, I didn't create the video. I'm just reposting it. But I just don't think it is because
listen to some of our old discourse videos. You'll be like, shit, I can post anything.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I guess, is that I did at least think about it first, and I'm like, I just decided it wasn't, just because, again, they don't know what they're saying. They're not making fun of it, right? They're just, this is what it sounds like to me, and it's kind of funny, so here you go. So anyway, check it out.
Well,
I recommend it. It's funny.
That kind of reminds me, Chloe, when we were in China, that people would just wear shirts with English on them. And it's just like Americans wearing like Chinese characters without knowing what they say just because they look cool. Like they would do the same thing with English words.
Yeah, the worst kind is get them tattooed on their
Oh
body.
god.
Yep.
Yeah, on both
And it
sides.
says like water faucet or something
Yeah,
in Chinese.
exactly.
Mm.
But I never thought the reverse would be
I really
true.
want if we see somebody in Chinese,
Uh-huh.
like or in America with a Chinese tattoo,
Okay.
I just want you to go and tell them that says chicken soup. Even if it doesn't, I just want to see their reaction.
It's just better if it's something vulgar.
Yeah. That says "fuck me, I'm horny." Is that really what
God.
you wanted? To
Is that what you actually
tattoo?
wanted on there, or?
I don't know.
And it's like a super buff guy.
Oh gosh.
I'm just playing with it.
I'm just playing with you. It actually says I have a really tight butthole.
Yeah, the weird thing was that's what I was going for.
Yeah. You get that one guy, he's like, oh, thanks.
Finally find someone appreciating my tattoo.
I've been waiting my whole life for somebody to point it out.
Yeah.
It is a crazy thing to me. I don't know, like,
What?
somehow, okay, so if I get the word friendship tattooed on me, right? And then I get a friend that, like, tattoos friendship on their same part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay, that's cool. Just the word friendship.
Okay.
Why the fuck a Chinese character when you don't speak Chinese?
I
What
literally,
the fuck's that got to do with anything?
I literally think people just think it looks cool.
Yeah, that's probably what it
literally
is.
all it is.
And maybe that's the reason that the Chinese people are wearing. Maybe that's the reason the Chinese people are wearing the English stuff. They don't know what it means, but they think it looks cool. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. It's hard to see from the other
It's
perspective.
the same goes with French though. Like it's one of the example is I saw a Louis Vuitton bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it has some cool French word on it.
Oh, yeah.
and you
that
look
is-
at it, it's literally say French souvenir.
It is like a weird thing, yeah. Like, no matter what it is, if it's in French, it's a little classier.
Oh, my
Like,
favorite
they could
is.
write shitter.
Le
Yeah.
Over, like, a toilet stall. La
Right.
chite. And then I'd be like, ooh,
Ooh,
it's
fancy.
classy toilet.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Hey,
it's a
hey,
fancy
hey,
toilet.
And you see this in advertising all the time in America, where they will, try to make something classier by giving it a French name. But if you know French, you're like, well, that is stupid.
Oh, yeah, do you remember Penn and Teller bullshit, Zach?
Yeah.
In one of the episodes where they were doing, like, the fake very fine dining episode,
Mm-hmm.
they,
I
like,
remember that one.
poured $2 wine into an super expensive bottle that they mocked, and they put the French for ass.
Oh yeah. That, I remember.
like the French for, like, maybe it was ass wine or something. They put that on there.
Well, that's funny.
And people were like, oh, very expensive wine.
Van de Cool or something?
Yeah.
Top class.
Yeah.
I do kind of want a shitter that is in French now, though.
I know. It sounds like classy. It sounds like, I don't know, when I'm on there, I'm thinking high concept philosophical thoughts while I'm doing my business.
Yeah.
While I'm in La
Well,
Chapelle.
well, the cool thing is that the French for that would sound something completely innocuous. It would be like merdier, because shit is merde, and so you'd be like merdier would be like a. I think that might be a person though. I'm not 100% on how they transform their words into like a person or a place, but it might be merdier. Merdier sounds good, so we'll go with that.
Well,
It's like Spanish is mierda or it's caca.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
It gets confused, and it depends on what part of the country.
Yeah, Mexican
what
Spanish
state
and Spanish are different too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember like there was a exchange student from God, I forget where in our high school, and we were learning caliente was hot, right? And like that was in our Spanish teacher. He has a Mexican wife. He learned Mexican Spanish, and caliente just means hot.
Right.
But this exchange student was like, dude, that doesn't mean hot. That means fucking horny.
Okay. Okay.
So it's always...
It's the same as French though.
Yeah, in French, it's like
It's
even
like-
north-south is very different.
The what's the word? The word looks very like excited. It actually means horny.
Excité. Probably. I'm
You know,
guessing.
it's like on fire. I can't remember on foo or something. It's on fire, and I think that's what they use as slang for horny. I'm pretty sure. I have to look that up. But
Well, I'm gonna start my toilet company, Palais de Merde. Shit Palace. I should sell millions.
Oh,
Yes.
that would be in like I don't know.
Well, you should call it Chateau de Merde.
The White House, Zach.
Call it Chateau de Merde.
Chateau de Merde. That sounds real good. I like that.
That's perfect.
The whole shit
That could be a wine.
I
That should be a
I
wine.
would live there.
That could be your winery, Zach. When you start your winery, it could
There
be the
we
Chateau
go.
de Merde. Yeah, I like it.
That will be in my poop museum.
Before you actually go into the Emir, you actually have walls of pictures of your collections.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
fancy
it's a
bathroom
museum.
photos?
Like really, like really big walls and like huge frames.
Like
and,
oil portraits of your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And little stories.
Like
about
one right over a
the time they
fireplace
took that
somewhere.
shit.
I get.
Oh yeah.
You could do is you could do the classy thing where you're sitting on some kind of a plush chair, and then in the foreground is a big pile of poop, and you're just kind of admiring it when you're wearing like a dinner jacket and stuff.
Just doing the thinker, looking at it.
No, you should have like a sifter of brandy in one hand,
That's
and maybe
true.
a pipe in the other, and then there's the poop in the foreground.
If anything, I want this to be actually painted so I can make it like a play mat for Magic.
Totally, do it. I like it. Find some starving artist and then have them
About to
paint that for
commission
you.
this painting right now, and it's going to be hilarious to describe
Just
this
go down to
painting
like
to them.
go down to like CCAD. I'm sure you'll find somebody down there willing to do it.
And what was the chateau? What is it?
Chateau de Merde, Merde.
That'll be in bold writing there.
So here's a funny story. So when I was in high school, I took French. We had to take a language, and my options were French and Spanish. I already kind of knew Spanish. I went to high school in California, and in California, as anybody who lives there will tell you, you learn Spanish just kind of by osmosis. And a lot of my friends were taking French, and so I thought, I want to take French. So I took French, but I was like a year behind them. So they had started before me, so they were all in like French 3 or whatever. They're going to be in French 3, and I want to be with them. So I took French. And the teacher, I said, I want to be in the same class as them next year. And so she was like, well, if you come to summer school and take French, I can get you to the point where you can then be in French 3 with them. I'm like, cool, I'll do it. So I took the French over the summer, and I did really well and everything. And so at the end, and it was literally like me and 2 other people in the class. Mm-hmm. So at the end, she gave me, as a gift for my achieving what I was trying to achieve, she gave me a book of French vulgarities. And it was just filled with all this filth, all this French, words for filth. It was hilarious. And I can't believe the teacher gave that to me.
First thing you always do when you meet somebody that knows a different language. Like, how do I say shit? How do I say ass?
But it was like, it wasn't just stuff like that. It was like fucking and every dirty thing you could think of was in that book. I couldn't believe she gave it to me.
I had slowly,
Really
like when I
prepare you
started,
for
like,
going
how do I
to-
say something? And you know what? She would only teach me, like,
No.
the kid word
Yeah.
for penis, which is xiao ji ji. But I know I have a big, so I would say, wo yo han da xiao ji ji. Which is basically, I have a little stick. Which sounds like I have a big pee-pee. But yeah,
That's
you're
what
right.
you
always
always
learn
do.
the vulgar stuff because it's fun.
Yeah.
So Rory, if I ever need to know like something more specific, like what's cum guzzler in French, you can pull up your book and be like, "I got you."
Well, I don't have the book anymore, but I'm sure I
remember how
could.
to order eggs, but he remembers cum
Yeah.
guzzler.
Yeah.
He can
the
fluently
fun-
describe porno.
Yeah, the funny thing is I haven't used my French in obviously a very long time, but I still like when I watch a movie, like if it's dubbed in French, I'll try to listen and see if I can figure out what they're saying. And obviously I'm not very successful at it, but I'm okay. I can pick out a few things, which is kind of nice.
To be fair, when you want to buy eggs in France, you just go to Carrefour and pick up a carton of eggs and go check out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
You don't have to ask people.
You put it down, you give them the money, and then you go.
That's not how I shop. I go straight to the cashier.
No. You say, merci.
Oh yeah.
Missy.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Missy.
That's the one thing you learn. And then in Italy, you learn prego, right? Is it?
Oh, that's the spaghetti sauce.
It's
What is it in Italy?
That's the
What type of
Spanish
thing?
sauce.
I think it was prego.
no,
Pre-
no.
Yeah, prego. They make spaghetti sauce.
No,
and-
but it stands for. It's basic. It's a fucking like everything word. The word they say. It doesn't even stand for. Hold on.
So why is that the sauce then?
When we were in
Delicious.
Italy, it was like I heard it so many times.
I think somebody fucked with you.
I think that's yeah.
There
I
are
think it was
Americans
fuck
around.
off.
Say prego,
all
prego.
of Italy.
Yeah, Americans know about prego.
Grazie.
No.
It is grazie.
No.
Well, grazie's thank you. I know that.
Yeah.
It means please, maybe, but it also means it's like it's a little more. It can mean like please and thank you, which is what's confusing as fuck.
Is it like aloha, where it means hello and goodbye?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the translation of pray? This is in Quora. It depends on the context. It can mean I pray, like in I pray it all goes well. It can mean please. It can mean you are welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it can mean please, you're welcome, or please go do that. So when
Or-
they say prego, like they're prego, get in line, they'll say that, prego. Or they'll, like I give, you give them something, they'll say prego, like thank you. Or you do something, and they'll say
no.
prego, like you're welcome. It's like, fucking, you're confusing the shit out of
They'll
me.
say something, they'll say grazie, and then yours say prego.
Grazie. Yeah. I never learned how to say it, other than I know they say it a lot. That's all I know.
I remember. In
So in
French,
summary,
you
it's a
say
word.
Good morning, bonjour.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
word.
And in Italian, it's buongiorno.
Buongiorno, I remember. Yeah. It's interesting.
I feel like that's day one Italian.
Yeah. If you actually study Italian, you'll probably understand it. I don't. I didn't try.
What just been
Do you
On
think
the
with
American- howdy there, feller?
do you think with the internet
Try to
and how
do the
connected
American
we are,
stereotype.
the languages will more form to one? Like it has to happen somewhat,
Well, like
right?
France, I think like they try to preserve it, like specifically, like they have I think a quota on the number of movies that they'll allow in movie theaters to try to prevent influence.
Really?
So there are lots of people like in France is always like culturally, fuck you, we're the best, right?
Yeah.
So there are always those cultures that try to like.
But
stand
there's
out from
plenty of
the-
cultures that don't
Sounds
do
like
what the
we
French are
trying to
doing, right?
replace all their
And
characters.
so many of them aren't like very interchangeable. Like in English, there's only one phrase I know that comes from Chinese. Do you know any? No, there's two. Sorry.
That
Well,
comes
there's
from
one
Chinese?
phrase.
No.
Yeah.
Kung Fu?
How Joe Bujian. Long time no see.
Yeah.
Kowtow.
What?
Oh, I thought you meant in English.
Yeah, I
Bow
thought you
down,
meant it was an
like
English
kowtow.
word we
Oh,
use.
koto.
Koto. That's how you actually. But in English, you say kowtow. And then I guess he's right. Kung Fu, Tai Chi.
Well, yeah, all that stuff.
They're
But
very small because it doesn't sound right in English. It's just,
It's very different.
it's
sounds.
very, like, long time no see. Like, there's no, like, subject in that phrase. I haven't
Yeah.
seen you in a long
It sounds
time.
very Chinglish. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
it's
The
like,
phrase.
in Chinese, not having a subject is perfectly fine. You say shit like that all the time in it.
You infer.
Long time no see, and then you're supposed to understand, I haven't seen you in a long time. Like, lots of phrases like that.
I did not know long time. I never
So
even
a
thought
lot of
about
them-
long time no see doesn't have a subject
Yeah, it's
in it.
very weird. You
Now that you say that,
like-
it is a weird phrase.
It's one of the very rare phrases from Chinese that made it into English. That's the only phrase. There are words in, like, Kung Fu, like, is, I guess, 2 words, but it's a specific concept.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
one phrase that I know of that comes from Chinese. Because it's not, it's very...
Wait. Is there
Like,
a non-martial
French, it's
arts
not that
term we
foreign,
use?
Right?
Is there a non-martial
Closer.
arts term that we?
well,
we
I
use?
mean, like there's food and stuff that we use all the
Like
time.
kowtow. That's it. That's all I can think of.
Yeah,
There's other
kowtow.
food stuff that's
Yeah, that's true.
coming from Chinese.
But
Is
most of
kowtow
it's
from
cheese.
Chinese? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then, like, when they do it like super hard in Chinese, right?
Huh?
like when you go to the emperor, like you really get down on your fucking knees and you like put your arms forward and you do that shit, right?
You like face plant?
Like when I watch the
Depends on the dynasty, which one
Okay.
you're talking about.
okay, it depends on the dynasty. When I watch some of the shows you watch,
Fine.
they're really getting down and like, I am
Yeah.
below you, I'm below you, and then they're like backing, like they don't walk forward, they always walk
They
backwards.
walk backwards, yes.
There are a
Alright, so-
lot of like the emperor is way above you,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
whereas in, I think generally in Western conception,
Mm-hmm.
like one bending the knee, which is basically kowtowing, is like you're a bitch. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
And like it is really hard for anyone to do, and they always display it as like an act of submission that they're very reluctant to do.
Yeah, I would say the culture.
And like that's all they do. And they'll
culture
put their head
before
down.
the Song dynasty and after Song dynasty was kind of very different. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them like it's like I guess it's like in Asian culture sometimes the emperor is way above.
Yeah.
Like way above than whatever a
The
king would have ever been.
the hierarchy exists in all the Eastern culture. Like you see in Japan, you see in
Yeah,
Korean
yeah, yeah.
cultures, you see in
Oh,
China.
yeah, there was crazy rules about oh, and maybe it was China also. You don't, or is it Japan? I don't remember. It's like you don't walk in front of the emperor. There's a certain walk you have to do.
What?
Right? You have to put your arms forward.
Like a
and
zombie?
shuffle. Yeah.
No,
Well, there's-
if you're servants in the court.
If you're a servant, you have to walk a certain way.
There,
It's only the male servant, which is a eunuch. Then you walk this way.
I swear Japan
The
has
female
even
one
more
walks a
specific
different way.
rules. And
Yeah.
well, you're not supposed to walk in front of the Queen of England either. I mean, it's not like they're the only ones that have rules like that.
it's really weird.
That's because we came.
In Americans, that's really weird because
That was the whole
president
point of him.
actually isn't above anybody.
Yeah.
He's subject to the law.
Right.
There's no titles granted. He is
Mhm.
not an aristocrat.
It
He
was-
is not a lord.
It
He's
was
nothing.
founded not too long ago.
That's kind of the whole point, I think,
Right.
Yeah,
of the United
he's
States,
subject
right?
to all of it. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
The
I think we forget that a
democracy.
lot. A lot of people forget that about the politicians. They are just people. They have no titles. You are not supposed to pay them any respect. Other than judges, you have to call your honor, but only in court.
Only in
Outside
court,
of
yeah.
court, you can call them fuckface if you want, because this is America, goddammit. But in court, you have to be respectful and say your honor. But other than that,
Yep.
you can say anything you want about any politician, no matter how horrid it is.
That's one thing I really hate
The-
about current politics,
I
and
do too.
especially with like the riots on both sides, is people seem to forget like freedom of speech means like it doesn't matter if you're offended or if you disagree. People can say whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. And it depends on who's
First Amendment.
in the office. It's like every time it's a Democrat in office or it's a Republican office, all of a sudden, half of the people of the United States think you should respect the office of the presidency.
Yeah.
And then it changes the R to a D or the D to an R, and they're like, "Fuck that guy! He's a piece of shit." It's like, dude, come on! Don't be that much of an obvious hypocrite.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't used to be that way.
Just say whatever you want. They're all pieces of shit. No one
That's
gets
the biggest
elected if
problem.
they're not at least a little bit of a piece of shit. Like only liars get elected in America. Let's at least start there.
Yeah. You don't get all the way to the presidency without doing some dirty shit.
You
Yeah.
gotta stab some people along
You
the
don't
way.
you don't get there by
Otherwise you
like
can't get
donating to
there.
charities
Exactly.
and being a good person your whole life. That's
Yeah.
not how you get
Oh,
elected
you can't
president.
get there.
Mm.
You have to learn
But
Hey,
law.
I digress.
Hey, that's
We're
a-
back to politics. We shouldn't go back.
That's the beauty of the democracy. You know, like when Bush gave a talk, somebody threw a shoe at him.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
funny.
That
That guy
that is kind of
disappeared.
funny. He dodged
That's
it
amazing
quick
part.
though. That was
Yeah.
impressive.
Imagine China. That
You
guy's
know-
disappeared. That guy's family disappeared.
One thing I'll say about Bush, he was one of the worst presidents of all time. One of the absolute worst. But compared to the Trump,
Mm-hmm.
he's really in shape. He could dodge that motherfucker like nothing. He threw a pitch for the opening game. He was in shape.
Yeah.
He was in
Yeah.
good shape, at least in the
Well,
beginning.
and also the other
His
thing is that
presidency,
he
was a worst president.
practiced. He practiced for that.
Yeah. Well, he owned the Texas Rangers for a long time.
Yeah, he did. Well, he was the president.
So
he wasn't the
better be
owner. He was
good.
the president.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He was an active guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he was no Taft, right?
Right.
That fat guy.
Well, you don't
Well,
have to go to
I don't-
Taft. Look at
I'm
Trump.
it too.
I don't think Trump has ever even tried to throw out a pitch. I don't think he has.
He eats McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think because I
But-
think Trump knows he'd be embarrassed if he did that. Like he.
I'll say compared to
True.
Biden, it looks like Biden's dying or something. And Trump, as shitty and fat and out of shape as he is, that dude is doing speed or something. Joe Rogan talked about that.
Yeah, he really
Like,
does
I
though. He
think
looks
that guy's
crazy.
on speed. Like,
Well, he's
he
still-
is,
he's
like,
sniff-
during
he's-
that first debate, like he would not shut the fuck up.
Well, and he's
Like, he is
sniffing
on
all the time, which is a
clearly.
yeah. So he's sniffing all the time, which is a sign of being on methamphetamine. So
I think he is.
Yeah, I
honestly
wouldn't
think
doubt
he's
that.
On something like, and for a 70-year-old, he is like so active. Biden is like I would expect a 70-year-old to be. He sometimes misspeaks.
Well, he has a speech
He sometimes
impediment,
take
right?
a while to get started.
Yeah.
He still does pretty well for
He does.
70 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for 70 years. Well, he's. I mean, you can't be
No, I think
honest and
he's-
become a politician that high, and you can't be a moron and become a politician
No,
that
I
high.
think he's also on
Yeah.
something, but not
yeah,
as
I think
strong as
I,
meth.
I guarantee they give both.
There's
of
some
them
drugs
something.
going
Yeah.
going around to
There-
them for sure.
There's no way they're gonna take chances.
Given their age,
and they have
I mean,
practiced that thing a million times.
yeah.
But yeah, still, even with that, I was like, Biden's like, okay, what are you? Come on, man. And Trump is just—he won't shut the fuck up.
He really
I don't know
wouldn't.
what's wrong with him?
Yeah, they both gotta be on something. Cause I remember talking to my grandpa who was around that age. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
attention span.
And
Not
after,
gonna be that
and
long.
after like 7 p.m. when people that age usually go to bed, they usually even start to get even slower.
They get up at
Right.
5 a.m. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like,
Yeah.
you gotta be
Hey.
patient. It's okay. Go ahead, tell me what you're gonna say. I'll ask again.
hey Zach, I have some breaking news for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nicolas Cage is in a new movie called Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that.
I'm sorry, but Nicolas Cage is in a movie is never breaking.
Whoa,
news.
Well,
He's
but
in a
wait.
million
It's specific.
goddamn
It's
movies.
specific to Nick though, because I had Zach, because I had Jiu-Jitsu in it.
But wait a second. That's not the important part. The important part is it's about him fighting aliens
Oh, that's even with Jiu-Jitsu.
with
right.
How
jujitsu.
much debt is he
Now, does he
in?
fight a gorilla? Is my question.
I certainly hope so. I hope that's
An
the
alien
opening
gorilla?
scene of him training.
Yeah, an
Did
alien
I tell you
gorilla.
there's like a YouTube of Nicolas Cage's agent or something like that? I think it's a YouTube
No.
video. Of where it's like his agent calling Nicolas Cage, and they got somebody to mock Nicolas Cage's voice. And then it's like his agent telling him this movie ideas. And it gets progressively more fucking ridiculous. And he just goes, yeah, I'll do it. And he's like, okay, I got a script here. It's just 120 pages of fart noises. It's like, yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'll do it. That's what his career is. It's just whatever.
Hey, did you watch the recent movie I told you about, Mandy,
No, did you? I don't remember.
with Nicolas
Told me,
Cage?
maybe?
Yeah.
I might have been too drunk.
That
Tell
movie's
me
pretty
again.
fucking
I might
good.
be too drunk now, to be honest. But tell me.
It's basically like an 80s horror movie done today. But it's like actually set in like the 80s. And Nicolas Cage is the main part. Like a call comes and
he
kills
always
his
sells me.
girlfriend and he
He's
goes and
great.
gets revenge.
No matter what it is, he sells it. It's I don't know. No, I haven't watched his comic book once. He was like Ghost Rider. I
Ghost
guess.
Rider, yeah. I haven't seen that.
There are a couple things I haven't watched of his. I just couldn't. But a lot of his movies, just I don't know. He plays such an over-the-top dumb shit that you can at least laugh.
Yeah, I'm never disappointed. Mandy's a good one though. There's some great moments in that one.
They were talking about having Keanu Reeves play Ghost Rider.
Really?
Yeah, because they're going to redo, I guess, Ghost Rider for the MCU, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but they
Keanu
were talking
Reeves.
about it at least. Yeah, it's like that doesn't make a lot of sense
yeah,
to
why
me because,
Keanu Reeves?
well, right, because his face is going to be CGI'd for at least part of it, because obviously a skull face, right? So I don't know if they'd be willing to. And the other problem with that
Because
is,
at some point, Zach, they're going to do a slow-mo sequence of Ghost Rider, and they're going to pan the camera around him. and Keanu Reeves is really familiar.
And he's gonna be like,
Yeah, right.
Whoa.
No other actors have ever been able to handle that. Yeah.
No, but he was the pioneer in the field. Not that he did it, but
All right.
in Matrix, that was where it started.
Hold on. So I've had this argument with Harry multiple times. I still say today that Keanu Reeves is a good actor.
Really?
Yeah, I still say today.
Aside from the Matrix, what's something?
Well, it depends on what you mean by good. What does that mean?
Like Bill and Ted's.
That he can very
like-
much play the part that he's put into.
No. Give me something besides the Matrix.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Hardball.
Something else.
I think it was called. What is it? Hardball.
No, I haven't seen it. Sorry, I
can't.
didn't
I
touch
think
it
it's called
on
Hardball, where he like plays a baseball coach.
I haven't seen it. So maybe you're right. I can't judge if I haven't seen it.
I guess this, Roy, you might have the problem with the definition of what is a good actor, because to me it's just like you play the role you're put into and you play it well, but Keanu Reeves tends to be in Keanu Reeves roles.
Just watch
that he can play
with
well.
Daniel Day-Lewis, good actor.
Yeah.
Because I forget he's acting. I believe
Yeah.
he is who he fucking is, and then I'm
True.
like, oh yeah, that's not a real man. That's
Yeah.
he's playing a role.
Like, yeah,
but
so
he
if
absorbs that.
But you
So-
can say that about
But
Gary.
Keanu Reeves does the same
Gary
thing to
Oldman
me in a
too.
different
Gary
way.
Oldman's fucking good. Like I can't even tell from one movie to another. Sometimes I'm like, that was Gary Oldman. God damn it.
Yeah.
But Daniel Day-Lewis, even
He's
Gary
the
Oldman's
same
good,
way.
But Daniel Day-Lewis, like, I even forget it's a movie sometimes. It's like,
Very true.
That must have really happened.
I'm
That
watching
man is
it.
Abraham Lincoln. They revived him.
I'm watching a documentary.
He's good though.
Rory, how would
maybe
you
not Keanu
define
Reeves
that?
movies. There's got to be something else I've seen.
How would you define good
I'm gonna Google
actor?
it.
John Wick?
I think
John
that
Wick, I haven't seen
I think that as an actor, your main purpose on screen is to convey emotion in some kind of a realistic fashion. So obviously, you don't have a lot of control over the dialogue, although some actors do. But it's really the manner in which you convey it, and is it done in a way that is both realistic to what the character should be doing, but also enjoyable for the audience. Because in the end of the day, right, you're a performer, so you're supposed to be entertaining the audience. So, and different people can have different, definitions. So for you, Zach, you may be entertained by whatever it is that Keanu Reeves is doing, but other people may find his performance not to be very realistic, which is where you come into the the fact, like, if, for example, if you watch him in Bram Stoker's Dracula, he is terrible because he's unrealistic.
I was gonna say that's not a good acting.
Yeah, so but he's really wooden and stuff. Again, it's one of his earlier movies, and he was kind of actually sort of forced into doing it. So, if you know the backstory of the movie, he was dating Sofia Coppola, who was the daughter of the director of the movie. So that had something to do with it. But in any event,
there you go.
So he's in other movies, like, for example, what was it called? Feeling Minnesota, where he was a drug addict or something, and it was a lot more realistic. I think he was in that movie. So it really depends on, maybe the role that he's in, too. So I don't know that you can necessarily say it. So someone like Daniel Day-Lewis or Gary Oldman, pretty much every movie they do, you can count on them, having those qualities, right? But for other actors, so the actors that are on kind of a lower echelon than that, it may depend on what kind of role that they're in.
Yeah. Nick Cage, perfect example, because he's just, well, he might just be a great actor, because in the movies that are ridiculous, he's ridiculous. But like adaptation, golden.
Yeah.
I think he deserves an Emmy.
Don't leave in Las Vegas.
Looking at Keanu Reeves.
Raising Arizona, he was great in that too.
There were lots of, Raising Arizona comedy, I don't think it's as hard. But anyway.
He had to play a deadbeat guy. It wasn't like a Nicolas Cage role.
That's true.
Comedy is something that not every actor can pull off comedy.
Sorry, I honestly tried to find the last Keanu Reeves movie I fucking watched.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he doesn't do stuff that I like to watch. The last thing was A Scanner Darkly in 2006.
You haven't even watched John Wick?
Cartoonish, so I can't even... No, I haven't.
That's a good movie.
So I've heard it.
At least John Wick
I'll get
1.
around to it eventually.
At least watch that one.
I know. I'm waiting till I have a theater room again.
It kind of reminds me of like...
I'll watch all the action movies I can.
Okay.
But
Let's see how long till we move.
I know
away
I got to
from
get out of
LA.
California before I have a theater room again. But anyways, Gander
Are they banned there or
seriously.
Are they banned there?
What's that? No, they're just $1 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
Have a-
Whereas in
have a room that
Ohio,
large.
For $200K, I had a house with a theater
No,
room.
$1 million won't get you theater room.
Yeah,
We're
$1 million
talking about
won't.
2 mil. at
2
least.
mil. 2 million starting, easily.
Yeah.
And no way. Unless you want to loan me $2 million, Zach, then I'll have a theater room.
I'm
Yeah,
on it,
Zach.
Captain.
God, what kind of brother are you?
Yeah.
I'll break down some of my
You know
board
I'm good for it,
games.
bro.
I think I'll have 2 million, no problem. Couple of Monopoly sets, I got you.
Yeah. You must have $2 million in board games.
Yeah. Sell them for $1 each, Zach, and I'll
Sell
theater
them
room
for
again.
$1 each. I'm rich suddenly.
Yeah. Funny how that works. Yeah, so I think that you have an echelon of actors who are just always going to give you a guaranteed, good performance. But the downside, I think, at least, you're not going to see those actors in certain roles. Like, you're never going to see Daniel Day-Lewis in an action movie or a comedy. Not really. I mean, have they ever done those kind of movies? So they're always going to do the same sort of a movie, which is fine. But if you're looking at somebody who does a lot of different kinds of movies, right? And that's a different kind of acting because
I think that's where Gary Oldman is.
Yeah, because he's
very-
done.
Yeah.
You could maybe consider him better than Daniel Day-Lewis, not because I believe him more, but because he has a lot more range.
Yeah, and he's
He is
done.
in a lot of different stuff, and like,
I know for sure he's done action. I don't know if he's done comedy, but I would imagine at some point he probably
I
has.
bet he has.
I mean, he
Has
was on
Gary?
Friends, but that was just like one episode
Has
of
Gary
Friends.
Oldman
So.
done comedy?
He was on
He's
Friends.
definitely done different types.
Fifth
of
Element had comedy in it.
Yeah, I was trying to think. Is that?
Yeah,
comedy?
but his
It's
scenes
not
weren't
exactly-
funny though.
Yeah.
I don't think his
Like,
scenes
I
were
thought it was
funny.
hilarious.
His scenes weren't very comedic.
Well, that.
Yeah.
I saw this on. I forget. Whitest Kids You Know were debating this. Was like, is Fargo a comedy? And I was like, I kind of think it is because even though it's kind of like
Yeah, no.
a crime thing, it is fucking one of the most funny movies I've
It's
ever
so
seen.
it's absurdity,
So it-
right? Absurd comedy.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Well, that's a
great.
form of comedy.
What'd you say?
Oh, Tinker Tailor Soldier
It's a
Spy
form
was
of
so
comedy.
good.
Yeah, that's definitely
Yes,
that's what I'd
Smiley.
say.
I mean, you have different types of comedy. You have farce, you have slapstick, you have situation comedy, So, I mean, I think that the kinds of roles he's unlikely to do, like a slapstick or like a Dumb and Dumber, that kind of a thing. Like he would never appear in that. But something that has comedic elements in it. It's more of a situational comedy or intellectual humor. I could totally see like a farcical sort of a comedy. I could see that. Like if there was a modern day like Monty Python, I could totally see him in that.
Yeah, I could
But
see
I
that.
didn't watch it.
Well, voiceover stuff's totally
Oh,
different.
Shen. I don't know who Shen is in Kung Fu Panda.
I think Shen is like his master, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's,
What was that?
I guess, a
that tiny
comedy, yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I think it was a little. It wasn't a panda. I think it was
I
a
think you might be right. So far, I
hard
haven't
to
seen
describe.
comedy.
like a raccoon or something. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I saw it, but yeah. And voiceover stuff is totally different because you're not using your body or
Yeah,
anything like that.
that's different.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Yeah.
genre of acting.
Yeah, because if you want to include animation stuff, I mean, people have done all kinds of crazy shit animation-wise. Like, there's
Yeah.
people that you wouldn't normally think of doing a quote-unquote comedy that have appeared in animated stuff.
Yeah, that's mostly just like you want the voice recognition of your audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize
What?
What?
he's Beethoven in Immortal Beloved.
Yeah, I can
I
see
watched
that.
that in our high school class. I had no idea that was.
Who's that? Gary Oldman?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing
I knew he
like
was-
charts online that show all his different roles, and he literally just doesn't even look like the same person in any of them.
Yeah.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. That's kind of a comedy.
Yeah, but that's a Shakespeare sort of a deal.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I know it's not
a
Shakespeare
it's
literally,
a
but
highbrow
it's-
comedy. So I know
Yeah,
I would go
yeah.
with that.
Well,
Yeah.
so Roy, I don't
You-
think
I
I got
You're right, actually. I've looked through his entire filmography.
no comedies.
Nothing that I would say is a standard comedy.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have that range where he does outright comedies that I see. Other than he made an appearance on Greg the Bunny, which I think
Oh, whatever the
was
hell that is.
No, wasn't that the Seth Green show from? Forever?
Well,
Yeah,
the funniest thing I've ever seen him in was, as I said, the episode of Friends where he is acting with Joey, and he is spitting on him the whole time because he's just over enunciating, and it's hilarious. So if you want to see him doing comedy, that would be But that's like an episode of Friends. Like that's
And Friends, you don't need to act at all because none of them are good actors.
Well, no,
they're absolutely awful actors. I'm sorry.
No,
they're just terrible.
Those are people that benefited from really good writing and a kind of zeitgeist.
What's his name that played Ross? Was in a movie. Crap, what was it called?
Oh, I remember.
It was really good.
He's the lawyers.
Yeah.
For the...
But in Friends, you don't even require acting. Like Malcolm Gladwell, if you know who he is.
Yeah.
Famous author guy. He was on some TV show talking about this before, and it made Friends make so much sense to me. Is that the way that Friends is so different than other shows?
Mm-hmm.
Is that every time the actors are doing something, they never have like false emotions. Like they display that they're lying when they're lying, right? They're not. They don't try to be like liars that try to hide lying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
If you turn,
there's no deception.
If you mute an episode of Friends and you just watch the actors, it's exactly like you can pretty well tell the plot, even without it.
Yeah.
So there's no like dissonance between what they're saying and what they're acting. Like, and that's the hard part of acting is like they say something but they don't really mean it. What they're really feeling internally is different from what they're trying.
They're not playing a character at all,
and what they're trying to show to other people. Like they're trying to be strong, but really they're really scared and afraid inside.
Yeah, no,
like,
I get what you mean.
Nothing, even like the dumbest shows will have that, even in some sense. But Friends, nothing.
So there's
always.
Yeah,
and
so
he calls it something like emotional.
Is that just a sitcom thing? Probably.
It's
not a
some
sitcom,
term,
yeah.
But like he says, like Friends is the absolute example where there's none of it. There's none of it. People display their emotions without any hiding whatsoever. Their emotions are fully on display, and that's where it's like there's no real acting because there's no attempt to hide your emotions. They may say things that aren't true, but like their emotions completely discernible.
So in comedy, there's this kind of dichotomy. There's kind of two different sorts of comics, comedic actors or anything really. Stand-up comics even kind of fall into this category where you say funny things or you say things funny. And the difference is if you have good writing, you can say funny things. That's what they do on Friends. So they say things that end up being funny because of the situation or whatever. But then you have people that say things that are normal sounding, if a normal person were to say it, but they're said in a way that's funny. For example, people that do accents or people that, are able to just, in their phrasing and how they emphasize certain parts of a sentence or whatever, will make it funny. But the things they're saying aren't funny. That's an example would be George Carlin. So George Carlin says normal things. Like when he does a stand-up routine, if you were to write down the things he says, that's not particularly funny. But it's just his phrasing and his timing and everything else and how he emphasizes stuff, he says things funny.
And that's
but he
why
doesn't say funny things.
He says are hilarious. But yeah, I agree with a lot of things are just outright true, and he says them in such a way that you have
it's
to
funny.
laugh.
Yeah. Because he shouts things that if it was on a written page, you'd be like, well, okay. I mean, I can intellectually, okay, haha, but you don't laugh out loud. But then when you're watching it and he's, different, inflections and everything else, it makes it funny. And so that's what I guess the point I'm trying to make is that on a show like Friends or any kind of really sitcom, it's that they're saying funny things. Right? But then they're not funny. Like if you took Jennifer Aniston and made her a stand-up comic, she would be terrible because she doesn't say things in a funny way. She just says things because they're written for her that are funny. And I'm not saying she couldn't sit down and write a script and it might be okay, but
Matthew Perry, he's usually the funny
guy.
Yeah.
So
I think they deliver it to him because he actually had.
He was the actor.
A little bit of that sense.
Well, not only that, but he can say.
But
he can do
not, you're right. Yeah, he's not a stand-up comedian. He can't do it that well.
Yeah, but I would say of any of them, he's the one that can say things funny. So he can take something that's a normal piece of dialogue and make it sort of funny. But most of them, right, don't have that.
Delivering it deadpan when it's
Yeah.
outrageous.
Yeah.
Right.
He can say things deadpan pretty well.
Yeah. But you can really break down, and someone who is a comic brought that up to me, and I realized that that's true. I mean, that you really do have two different types of comics, and
I do think there's some that do both perfect.
I think a
like,
lot
Sure.
of them do
really well, I
both,
guess.
and that's the
those
point.
Those are the ones that are like, they're the legends, right? Well, I guess George Carlin probably mostly did one super
Chappelle does that a lot. He just talks about real issues and also has
Yeah.
jokes mixed in.
But no,
But he's still
sorry,
funny
some
the whole
of
time.
Things Dave Chappelle has are fucking hilarious.
That's what I'm saying. He actually talks about real issues, but he'll also say them in a funny way. But then he'll also have just funny
Yeah.
things he says
There's
while
some-
he's talking about
well, but
Some
the
concepts
difference.
he put together are genius. They're
Yeah,
just,
if you look at like the
hilarious.
Chappelle show though, so if you look at the Chappelle show, right? So here's a good example of both of those things happening. So in the Chappelle show, he has a monologue at the beginning. I think it's usually at the beginning, and
Yeah.
that's an example of saying things funny. So he will talk about normal things and whatever's going on in the day. I think most of it. But then the skits is the opposite. So the skits are saying funny things. So those are things that are written ahead of time. You have characters in crazy costumes doing crazy things. That's an example of the other part of it. So they are doing things that are written for them to be funny.
Yeah.
So that is a good example of both, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's why I'd say he does so well in his
I think he
stand-up is
mixes
both.
in the skits, though.
Mixed so
Like,
much.
Maybe just him. I don't know about the other actors, but a lot of times, like the way he does the crackhead, he says things that are hilarious, but he also says them the way he does his crackhead voice. His crackhead voice is hilarious.
Yeah.
You trying to say
Even
Ashley Larry
his
isn't
crackhead-
hilarious too?
His crackhead character was saying just straight up normal things. I'd laugh my ass off. Like he does that. He does the crackhead so well, but also the things the crackhead is doing is hilarious. So
Very true.
Like I said, but he is one of the legends, right?
So- 'cause he
is
does
one of
both.
the
Yeah.
people that I would say like
Yeah.
he can do both pretty fucking well. Like that's why he gets $50 million from Netflix.
Yeah.
Yep.
True. All right, y'all. I think it's a good time to cut it.
Yeah, we'll end it on Dave Chappelle. Being
Dave
great.
Chappelle being a
We can all
legend.
agree on that.
That'll work.
Well, because why not? Why not end on Dave Chappelle?
Yeah.
It's not like we can top Dave Chappelle, so we might as well end it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Later, guys.
See y'all later.
know